in, the main reason is this one. So it's like, first of all, thanks for sending it. And this is a monster of a book, you know. I think you can study this until you're like, I don't know, 70 or something. But what's the obviously, people who will buy it will can read the liner notes and what it's all about. But first when I opened it up, it was kind of like that's what Mick Goodrick would have loved, actually. But what's the story behind the book, actually, and how long did it take you, and why did you decide to do that? And
Ah, it's a good question. Well, what's the story? I mean, I've always been interested in harmony, obviously, and how voices move within chords and stuff. And I've been working with the Goodrick books, the almanacs, for example, and also the George Van Epp stuff. I
oh yeah,
use
okay,
them, the harmonic mechanisms. So I've always kind of tried to practice that stuff and triads and different three-part chords. And then at some point, especially with the harmonic mechanisms, I was thinking, there's so many ways to do things, and he's presenting all these different fingerings, which is great, which is amazing. Like sometimes, he puts you. Do you know this? Do you know those books or?
I mean, I know the Goodrick one, but not George's.
Oh, yeah, that stuff
I have
is
to I have
amazing.
to find it.
So he puts you through like different fingerings where, like, for example, you don't use your first finger and stuff like that. But the actual moves are similar. So, it's so much material. Um, and I was thinking, wait a minute, like how many ways are there actually to go from one chord to the other? Um, and I couldn't really find the list, so to
Yeah,
speak, anywhere. You know what I mean? Um, and with the cycles, the Goodrick cycles, which are amazing, like they always stay within one chord type going to the same
yeah,
one. You know what I mean? So you have a triad that
yeah.
cycles to another triad,
Try it. Yeah.
um, or like a fourth chord or something, some other structure. So, and I find myself like when you play, you find yourself moving a voice, but it's not necessarily like a triad moving to another one because it ends up being something else. Um, so that is not that's kind of left out a little bit from
Hmm.
in the Goodrick's books. Apart from some of the third volume has a lot of it kind of opens the doors to other
Yeah.
things. But so I kept, I started at some point, I started kind of making a list, I started, how many ways is like if I just have a triad, like if I just move one voice, like how many ways are there, and then um I sort of got obsessed with it, I thought,
No,
wait,
come on.
I need, you know what I mean? Like um so I thought like from any possible chord structure within a heptatonic scale, if what if I just move one voice or two or all three of them and in different directions and seconds and thirds,
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, at first it seemed kind of infinite in a way, but it's
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
It's so any move you can do, you can invert the whole thing, and you realize it's the same thing, and you can play it, in open voicing or
Yeah.
close or whatever. And it turns out it's how many is that? Like 108, I think it is, or you'd have to look it up. No, I think it's 108. So
I think so. Yeah.
um, if you take if you
Yeah. 108.
move seconds and or thirds, um, you get these 108 unique moves um, from one structure to another one connected by uh, voice movement,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah.
And, there's three inversions of all of them. So there's, it's really 324, I
It's
guess.
a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's not that many. Like you would think it's kind of infinite, it seems infinite. And it's still kind of a manageable
Yeah.
number. And of course, some of them are kind of, at first, they seem kind of useless, I guess, or, weird. But I mean, maybe I don't know if you, what you did with the Goodrick stuff, for example, that'd
Hmm.
be interesting to know. Some of the stuff seems, you play through it, but it's like, what is this for?
Yeah.
But I find it interesting to just kind of go through the stuff and then, maybe put it in a different scale or in a different environment and kind of find you know, areas of application for it, It turns out some of the stuff that might sound really bland uh in a major scale might sound really cool, like
Yeah.
in some other scale, in a different, like in a higher register, in like open voicing or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of put out the material and present it in a way that you can actually manage the
Yeah. No,
stuff.
I love it. I love it also that you included that Ben wrote the kind of like Monder, like this,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because he's the master. I mean, the modern master of that. Like he kind of
I
reminded me
know.
when I checked some of the voicings, I was like, oh shit, that's Ben. Obviously, and
Ah,
uh, but yeah, I mean, it's really useful. I think everything when you said it sounds useless or weird. I think weird is really good because that's what
hmm.
creates tension. When I see some of my students sometimes, or if I do a workshop and then people really neglect this stuff, I think they're way more into traditional playing, most of them, and I think this is like that's where the guitar is right now, or has been the last 20 years. Those guys who are exploring it, I mean, obviously, who are pushing the boundaries. So
Yeah. And I mean, on the other hand, all the traditional stuff, or a lot of the traditional stuff, including the Kutrick cycles, is still it's all in there,
yeah, yeah, sure, yeah,
The possibilities
yeah,
just kind of fills in the gaps or the blank spots, or I don't know what you call it, but yeah. So um yeah, and I don't know how long it took.
yeah.
Couple of
That's my
years I
question.
was
Yeah,
Yeah, a couple of years I was just kind of, you know, working on it on the side, and then at some point I decided to really put it together, and I got done like basically when the pandemic hit, and yeah, when Mel Bay agreed to publish it and stuff, then the real editing work started, and that was a
yeah.
lot, but it could have come out, I don't know, a year at least earlier,
Mm.
but the pandemic was there, and yeah, so
It's good also that Melbay did it. I think since they have regarding teaching and educational tools, they have quite a wide range and reputation. So I was really happy when I saw it's on Melbay. I was like, yeah, good man. That's
yeah, I'm happy, and I feel I'm in great company,
yeah,
with the with the Van Epps books and stuff. I feel honored, to be part of that, and yeah, it's cool,
yeah.
and yeah. So I'm really interested how you use this, or how did you go about, um,
I, I mean,
have you been using it a little bit, or?
yeah, yeah, definitely. But I mean, m- maybe not so systematically as you. But
Hmm?
obviously, like taking a scale and harmonizing it, like having a minor second and then a third up here. I don't know, just like thinking more in terms of a scale and then moving that same structure up and down and changing it and changing one voicing. I mean,
Right.
I think I've been doing that subconsciously, even not knowing what some things are, just like by playing. Or, you know, if you play with a horn player, his line goes somewhere and then you try to follow him. And, you know, it's in time. So I guess sometimes you just do something and you're like, oh man, that's
Of
cool.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I would, honestly, I would have to, like, if I wanted to be more systematic about it, I would have to really dig into it. Because sometimes I just play stuff and which sounds cool and not even being bothered like, okay, shit, is this like a augmented chord or
Of course.
I mean, I'm more
Yeah.
thinking about
Who
functions
thinks,
and yeah.
right, right. I mean, who thinks, I guess I mean, there's no time to categorize everything while you're playing. I guess. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know who thinks like that, but I think in learning, it's really like when you
yeah,
study something, it's really cool to kind of have a good system of naming chord structures. So
yeah,
they kind of fall into a clear category in your mind. So, you
yeah.
can access
Ho-
kind of unconsciously at
yeah,
some point.
yeah, yeah,
You
definitely.
um, and I tried to kind of find a good, you know, uh, categorization system that people can use,
Yeah, yeah.
because especially with the task chords or something, it's really like the way
Oh,
it's
that's
taught. And
yeah,
it's very ambiguous, and it's like, yeah, you can call this, and as you say, like we think of just intervals, on
yeah,
top of each other,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
like if someone wants to learn a chord, it's it's kind of random sometimes, it's hard to memorize or have
yeah,
a good category for it
yeah.
that way.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, did you ever talk with Mick about this in person
No, no,
or
no.
Ben
Like, I mean,
or Mander?
yeah, yeah. With Ben, I talked about it.
Oh, okay.
And he's really into it. He was really helpful and good feedback he gave. And yeah, he's uh yeah, helpful also with his, introduction that he wrote, and
Yeah, yeah.
really cool. Um, yeah, and I just talked to, guitarist friends about it a little bit, and yeah.
Do people like the guitarists that you talked with, did they learn, you know, these voicings and stuff in this way? Like what were their approaches, if you remember? I mean, because it's you know, so many different doors that you can access something like that. Like how did people learn voice leading and stuff like that? What's in the book?
I'm not sure. I mean, the people I talked to, and I mean, I've taught a course on this
Mm.
too, in the university, like just on this for 2 semesters, and
Oh, wow.
and and uh, so I know the feedback, or I did some work, a couple of workshops, just on this material, and what people pick up on is, or at least maybe, I can just kind of see what people pick up on. They really pick up on the icons. They're like, oh, yeah, I can just use those, and that gets them really into just moving stuff around, and also just to add some movement to every step or every other step
Mm.
of, and then kind of move the same thing, and then have that become kind of a melodic harmonization,
Hmm.
like a kind of a block chord style thing,
Yeah.
which it comes out of, but kind of a broken up thing. And yeah, and the way, I mean, I presented the fourths a little differently, maybe from others, and that's been interesting to see how people receive that style, but it's, I think people really get it, and it's for some people it's very helpful,
Oh man, yeah.
especially the way the fourths, just two fourths on top of each other,
Yeah.
just see them as that, have that be the root position rather than call it like sus4 or like sus9, or I think, Goodrick goes for like C9 or something like that, where if you write it down, it's like, okay, what does it mean exactly? You'd always have to explain it. And so yeah,
Mm.
and I don't know. I mean, I get some feedback from people around the world sometimes, but it's hard to. I'd like to know more, like how people actually use some of
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool info. Yeah. Good feedback. Yeah.
So yeah, uh, but it's yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, especially. I mean, it is supposed to be for everyone, of course,
It's quite
but
advanced, I think, still in terms of yes and
yeah,
no.
but
I mean, yes and no. So
yeah, definitely. And just like with the almanacs, for example, or with this, it's like some people they don't work like that, or they don't like people like material to be presented in like a kind of an open way, or like just like an informative, or
mhm.
in this kind of way. They like to um, have more application, or like, do this, or
Yeah. Yeah.
be this. Like, this is how you play a
Play
chord
over.
solo
Yeah.
on Stella by Stella, or something like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, but that's
and I
that's
kind of
that.
wanted to stay
Yeah.
away from that a little bit,
Yeah.
because I wanted to be, I don't know, that's kind of a big word, but I wanted it to be kind of timeless a little bit. I didn't want to
No.
color it like that. And I'm the way I work, I like it to be open.
Yeah.
I like to take the challenge to apply it myself or something.
No, but that's also the problem of you know jazz education in a sense, like that. This is how you
Mhm.
play over. I don't know, half diminished chords. These are the 12 licks you have to learn. So then you get guitarists, like, I mean, especially in guitar, I think lately, who sound the same. Not all, but 90% it's like within this certain vein of playing, and it's okay.
Right.
Technically, it's okay, but finding your own voice and style, it's not. So I think it's good that Goodrick's approach. I love his this openness and humor and like
Right.
those things like how to use silence in music. And there's a blank page. Shit, man, I love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it
totally.
is. That's and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So, but like you said, yeah, you have to be a guy who wants that, who's a you know,
right. And yeah, and also, I mean, the book kind of I mean, it is not about rhythm, for example. Like, there's the rhythmic side is kind of excluded, and it's not to say that it's not important. I mean, quite the contrary. But and maybe for some people, I mean, there's some stuff about how to apply the stuff so it's rhythmically uh interesting,
yeah,
to leave out, that part. But um it's not about how to apply it rhythmically in like some meter
imagine
or
that.
something.
Imagine that, like doing all this, like, okay, now in 7 and 5, and how to move that. That's like a book like this,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But some people, I mean, maybe some people wanted to be more inclusive like that, but I kind of wanted to have it conclusive in that area, and then you can take it and apply it to rhythm, of course, and you're supposed to,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
I mean, and also, I mean, the way that you were talking about how people kind of sound the same, I feel, especially in jazz schools, is so much about like, um, it seems like there's all these boundaries. Like, people are like, here is what you should do in this
Mhm.
situation. Likely you are. So you play this scale on this chord, and then you do this. And I mean, it's supposed to be kind of, to work as a like a springboard, where you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but it actually works more like it's more like boundaries, I think,
Yep.
in most cases. So people kind of stay within that safe zone or within that thing. And because there's a lot of anxiety too, you know, like you want to do the right thing, right? You know? So you rather stay within that safe zone and
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
and it ends up
Yeah.
maybe not sounding so, or maybe that kind of dampens the creativity level a little bit. Let's just call it that, say it that way.
I know where you're going, like carefully approaching it, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
I totally agree
Yeah,
with you because for me it's like 90% is boring, you know,
exactly.
because
Yeah,
it's like it's amazingly played and technically and
yeah,
all is cool, you know, but it's just like I think as a musician you have to push boundaries at least if you want to at least your personal, I'll put it like that, you know, or sounding the same as someone before, or you know, it's like chefs or whoever, you know,
hmm
cooking the same as
yeah.
someone before is, I don't know, it's okay. But yeah,
I mean,
I'll put it like that. If you like it, then it's okay.
yeah. I mean,
I'm
there's
just
something to be
talking.
said for
Yeah,
really like
yeah,
speaking some language that is established and
yeah.
of course and like a chef. I mean, if someone makes like a really great, I don't know what, like something that people really love, like
Yeah.
you know, that's amazing. I mean, if you want like a really good, I don't know,
Well, you know,
carbonara thing,
yeah. Well, for instance, yeah,
you don't want someone to give you something like avant-garde there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah. But on the other hand, you know, you listen to, I don't know, we mentioned Monder before, and he plays like Wichita Lineman or you know whatever
Yeah,
standards
yeah,
or
yeah.
one of these guys, and it's like, okay, damn.
Yeah, I
You
know.
can do it in a different way, you know, and or Bill
Yeah,
Frisell, for a matter of fact, even going to the other extreme, playing extremely melodic, but you know, with this non-traditional voicing still and space, and
right.
so it's I don't know, but it's maybe just me, you know. I always have these discussions with guitarists and musicians because it's depends what you want also as a musician and what you like, if I guess, you know.
Yeah, I guess there has to be some kind of um ingredient, like a personal ingredient or
Yeah.
something that is you or that makes it interesting. So it's
Yeah.
just not like, you know, the carbonara that you can get anywhere. Maybe it's like, there's something, it's like, oh, this is a really good one.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sure.
Uh, um, and also, I mean, this is goes back to the playing aspect or students too. It's I would say that, or the way I see it is that some of them they don't really ask themselves, it's like, what chord do I really, really love? It's like what voicing is really what I enjoy to play, or you know, if I go through some progression, like what is the way that I really like? It's
Hmm.
more like how can I get through this and that is, accepted or that people tell me or you
Yeah.
know, something like that. It's um so maybe I would encourage people to, maybe this material from the book is
Definitely. Yeah.
something that, encourages people to kind of, go through, stuff that they haven't played and kind of discover stuff that maybe makes it more personal for them.
Mhm. Definitely.
Uh,
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah, and I love that when people take. I mean, it's also about taking chances in the end.
The good
So
music is all about that, right? Walking on the edge, and
yeah,
I mean,
and I'd rather have someone, take chances
definitely.
than listening to someone, play it safe all the time, or
Oh,
you know.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, but
that's
no, but it's fantastic, man. Seriously, I'm happy.
thanks.
You sent it to me. I like every now and then. I take a page and I'm like, okay, shit. Oh, and I'm like, okay, I've been doing that. You know,
Mhm.
I don't start from the beginning. I always like, okay, wow, that's cool. What is this now? Okay, and it's nice. I love. It's also a good exercise for reading. You know, for us guitarists, to just sight read the chords, and because kind of melodies
Sure.
are easy for us, but the chords sometimes are tricky to side read. So this it's a good one
Hmm.
also to approach
Yeah.
it like that. So
Yeah.
fantastic.
Have you tried some of the etudes or?
Not yet, not yet. But I saw, yeah,
Okay.
you also have that and the audio material. I haven't touched even yet, so
Hmm.
because I know there's an online audio available and everything. So
Yeah,
we can,
it's just me playing through some
yeah,
of the stuff and the three tunes or the three, example
yeah.
compositions.
Now it's a monster. It's you can study that for 20 years at least, or
Yeah,
which
thanks.
is great, man. So fantastic.
Yeah,
Uh,
same for me. It's not that I have, I've played through most of the stuff that's playable, of course, but it's not that I, you know, have them all available like that, or, it's, I'm the same. I pick it up and I play
yeah,
through some stuff, you know. So it's yeah. I just wanted to compile it,
yeah.
for anyone to
It's fantastic, man. So
access it. So yeah.
cool. Well, Johannes, thanks for sharing some of these thoughts, man. Appreciate it. Uh,
Yeah, my
I think
pleasure.
people should get it. So, and especially guitarists. So hopefully they will, and I'm helping to, you know, promote it a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, pianists and composers
Also, yeah, yeah,
can also use it. I mean, there's an appendix for pianists as well. Some application for piano
yeah, especially
and
harmonic. I mean, all the harmonic instruments, obviously. Yeah. So, but yeah,
right.
really
I
cool
mean,
stuff.
I guess if you were like if if you're like a choir, if you compose for like choir or
Yeah,
something like that, interesting. I mean, you'd have to really study like counterpoint and
yeah,
some other stuff on the side. It is true for guitars. I mean, this stuff is not, doesn't tell you this is a good voice leading or this is a bad one. It just kind of tells you here are the ways that are not, that are within certain boundaries and all the ways. But
no, it's like you
um,
said. You have to find out what is a good movement for you. You know, like for each, you cannot tell someone this is what you should like. Each person should find their own style on what they like, you know. Maybe you're like, oh shit, I like this approach. And I think that's good.
yeah. But I was just thinking, voice leading rules, the established rules
Yeah.
are totally, I mean, they're totally helpful as well,
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I would encourage people to study those in parallel at least, so
Study everything, transcribe everything. Like, you know, it's like
yeah.
it's absolutely, man. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, cool.